This is the second segment in Fromm's Art of Loving. Fromm also proposes the idea of love in its relationship to society. He argues that early man's separation from love and the anxiety which this caused him is the reason that he indulged in increasing levels of hedonistic behavior. How for the early man, the carnal aspect of romance was a temporary relief from anxiety, but with a trap of its own, as this carnal pleasure was not satiated by satisfaction of intercourse, and it became to man a drug. Thus intercourse among tribal groups increased to the level of orgies. For later man and early civilization, once tribal groups became large enough, the need changed into the need to belong. But it isn't very different from the longing of an individual, but instead the longing of a collective, which then led to proto-nationalist behaviors and the establishment of the us and them dichotomy. The example of the Roman Empire is brought up in the book. After all, the lowest Roman citizen could proclaim that he was part of the Roman people, that the peasant working the fields outside of Rome is kinsman to the legionnaire in Gaul. Over time, this tribal sense of belonging, due to industrialization and the rise of capitalism, became different, yet on the same basis of the psychological need to belong or to be loved. This is now known as conformity, and can be seen as the death of the individual and individualism. We live with an illusion of individuality. This individuality in modernity comes from purchasing power. That is brought upon heavy socialization of a herd mentality. This socialization is brought to us and put upon to us from infancy to death. I stopped the discussion for a moment to mention the fact that when Fromm wrote this, he probably could not imagine the socialization that occurs in modern day, where products are marketed specifically to children because of the increased exposure and readily availability of communication and media. Now, returning to Fromm, he says that even death in modern times is a final act of conformity, not in the sense that we all die, but in the sense that when we pass, there is a general consensus on what must be done with our remains. And in many parts of the world, this decision is also limited by the government. Individuality is lost in another sense, that humans are no longer seen as humans, but instead as cogs within the economy. It is an explanation that the ailments of society, among these being poverty, addiction, deviance, and violence, are brought out by this inability to conform, that this unsatisfied longing for love is unanswered, and these are the effects caused by that anxiety. Although for Fromm, we don't come to this point unwillingly, we sacrifice our individuality, and with that, our creativity, for the result of conformity. The argument is that most people are willing to and actively seek to conform. People do desire the 9-to-5 lifestyle because it shelters them from this anxiety of separation. And that is everything for this segment. I'll have more next time.